the day where Spurs are knocked out of the Europa League by Dinamo Zagreb following an embarrassing, and I mean embarrassing, 3-0 defeat in Eastern Europe, Hugo Lloris has given what is undoubtedly one of the most honest, most kind of exploitive interviews I've ever seen from a Spurs player. And he was not given out, but in a way criticising the club, the players, and it seemed like he was given out about the players who aren't always in that first team. And I'm going to go through a few of the comments he said about this. And this video, the stream, is going to be more kind of a reflection on what is happening at Spurs right now and where we go from here, rather than a review on that game, because I could sit here for hours giving out about every single player in that game from the small bits that I've seen, because I didn't get to see the majority of the game myself. But look, let's just go through these comments by Eric Lamela. One of the most not crazy, but one of the most revealing, most honest things he said. Massive concern. He said, "It's just a disgrace. The team at the moment just reflects what's going on in the club. We have a lack of basics, lack of fundamentals. All performance is just in relation to that." Our club captain coming out and saying the club lacks the basics and the fundamentals. Look, he was pushed by this. It was in an interview with BT Sport when he did say this, and he was pushed on this, asked for a bit more kind of detail and to dive into it a bit further. And he said he wasn't going to do that. And look, that's fair enough. You don't want your captain coming out and kind of exposing everything that is going on in the club behind the scenes, stuff that we are never going to be privy to. But it was, and look, Aaron Fernandez here says that the best thing about tonight was Hugo's reaction. And I've seen a lot of praise for Hugo on Twitter for the interview that he did give. And essentially what he said was what the fans were thinking, and not what the fans wanted to hear, but what the fans feel as though we had to hear about the truth essentially, what is going on at this football club. It's just a disgrace. The team at the moment reflects what's going on in the club. We have a lack of basics and a lack of fundamentals. That is an absolute damning statement from Hugo Lloris. But again, it's honest and it's what we needed to hear. And look, the debate tonight is going to be Jose in or Jose out. And I don't want this to be a stream that falls into either kind of extreme of those where it's an agenda for Jose out or an agenda for Jose in. It's not going to be about that. It's not even going to be purely about Jose Mourinho. It's about looking at what the best way for this club to go forward is. And look, every fan has questioned Jose Mourinho's future at this club at some point. And if you say you haven't, you're lying. Every fan at some point, in whether it's this run of form that we went through after Christmas or towards the end of last season, whenever it is, everyone has questioned Jose's future at this club. And tonight, I have a lot more than I ever have in the past. And I tweeted out a while ago, isn't this exactly what he's been brought in to prevent? It's what he's been brought in to avoid. This is the competition he's been brought in to win for us. He's never been knocked out of this competition before. This is the first time that Jose has been knocked out of this competition. And you can look at so many statistics. It's the first time Jose has lost this many games. It's the first time Jose has done this, that, the other, everything else. Yes, Jose is a manager who's past his best. He's a manager whose style and tactics and philosophies, and whatever you want to call it, have been better suited to teams in the past and to eras of football gone. But he's not the first man that has failed at this club. You look at what Mauricio Pochettino managed to build at this club. There's a reason he failed. There's a reason Jose now looks as though he's failing. And there's a reason this club hasn't won a trophy since 2008. There's a reason this club hasn't won a major trophy since 1991. And you can't put that down to the managers that are at the club. And you can't put it down to the players who are at the club, because a lot of these players are the same ones that did fail Mauricio Pochettino. But the problems at this club run deeper than that. They run a whole lot deeper, and they run a lot further than any of this that we're seeing on the pitch, that we're seeing with Jose in his interview and stuff like that. Euro expert, good to see you tuning in here, says, I don't think the question is when do you get rid of Mourinho, but now how the hell do you get rid of Mourinho? And yeah, look, like I said, I don't want to make this a Jose in or Jose out thing, but it's giving ammunition to those who purely want Jose out. Whenever I refer to Jose outers, I mean the fans who want us to lose games so Jose will be sacked. This is just giving them ammunition. The fans who want Jose to be sacked for the betterment of the club, but would like to see Jose succeed, if that makes sense. The people who they don't care who's in the dugout as long as Spurs succeed. And I'm in that camp. I'm never going to say I hope Spurs go and lose to Villa on Sunday because, maybe Jose will be sacked. That's not me. And that's not any true fan of the football club. Bradley says Mourinho has ruined this club. Jay says, realistically speaking, we should cash in on Son and Kane and use those funds to rebuild. We simply don't have the cash to progress. Yassine says, look, if we keep playing like this, then we won't win the cup. And I feel like with Jose, we have gone backwards and forward. And look, I think nobody was ever expecting us to progress massively as a football club or progress in like a project like we did with Mauricio Pochettino when Jose came in. Nobody ever expected that. What we expected was long-term pain for short-term gain, if that makes any sense to anybody. Whereby we win a Europa League, we win a domestic cup, and maybe have a good go at a Premier League. Whereas in the long term, we know the long-term effects of Jose being at a club. We've seen it everywhere he's been. There is remnants of disarray and a lack of cohesion in the dressing room that is left behind by a manager like him. But as Spurs fans, I would 100% accept our squad being ripped apart from the middle in terms of transfers and that painful rebuild Jose or Pochettino was going on about. If that meant we won a Europa League, if it meant we won a Premier League, I would take that in an absolute heartbeat. But now it looks like we're looking at this stage where that's not going to happen. We're not going to have a trophy, and we're still going to be left with the destruction left in the changing room by what Jose does and the way he kind of deals with things. And Hugo Lloris did touch on that in his interview today. He said, to behave as a team is the most difficult thing in football. Whatever the decision of the manager, you have to follow the way of the team. If you follow the team only when you're in the starting 11, that causes big problems for the team. Today is the consequence of that. So he's talking about these fringe players, the players who aren't in that team as much as they would like to be, and the players that aren't appreciated perhaps as much as they would appreciate, as much as they think they will be appreciated. And you have to assume he's talking about the Dele Allis, the Harry Winkses, maybe even the Eric Dyers in recent weeks, Moussa Sissoko as well, Stephen Bergwijn. But these players are never going to be what they want to be at this football club if, when they get their chance tonight, like they do in nights like tonight, they completely throw it away. And it was one of the worst performances from Spurs. We went to Dinamo Zagreb. All respect to them. They have some fantastic footballers. Mislav Orsic is an incredible football player. Bruno Petkovic as well, on his day, can be a fantastic footballer. And I heard Hugo Lloris talking about desire and talking about confidence and talking about all this stuff. Yes, that matters. That matters a lot. When Zagreb got that first goal, their confidence was through the roof. They got the second goal and they're thinking, we can win this, we can get through this leg. Confidence is everything. Desire is even more. Hugo said it's heartbreaking to see that we went for that game tonight and didn't have the desire to win. Putting that aside, purely on quality and on quality alone and nothing else, Tottenham Hotspur should have been able to get through that game tonight. Dele Alli had that chance early on when Harry Kane put him in a goal. He tried to take it first time. He tried to be fancy with it, and he completely missed the goal. Spurs 2021 says, Matt Hayes, can you finally put some blame on the manager? If you're going to come in here and say, can you finally put some blame on the manager, you clearly don't watch my content. You don't, because I put blame on the manager when the blame is deserved. You can look back at any of my videos. When Jose deserves to be criticised, I criticise him. And yes, tonight, he deserves to be criticised. If he can't motivate his team, if he can't get a team ready to go and score one goal in Zagreb, one goal is all we needed, and all of a sudden they need 4. If he can't do that, there's problems. And I question whether his future at this club is the way to go. Now, again, I'm not going to turn this into a Jose in or Jose out stream, but if you're saying, can you finally put some blame on the manager, you don't watch my content, so don't bother watching this stream either. Jay says, everyone wants us to high press, but no one realises how difficult it is cardio-wise to do that. We need a different calibre of players to play that way. I still have faith in Jose. Bradley says, I'm embarrassed to be a Spurs fan tonight. The club is going backwards because Mourinho was brought in to get us into the Champions League and win trophies. Mourinho has failed. He needs to go now. Aaron says, Cara on Monday Night Football said it shouldn't be top 4 or trophy. Jose coming in is to make a top 4 and a trophy. Yassine says, I don't know if this is true, but Poch got the most out of average players while Jose's just simply not playing them or getting nothing from them. Adam says, I said it when Poch was manager and I'm saying it again. These players are doing the manager in, and that is why I don't want Mourinho to be sacked. A rebuild is never short term. It always takes time. Just on the point there about this one, Bradley says the club has gone back. Mourinho was brought in to get us in the Champions League and win trophies. One of the things that Hugo Lloris said in his interview tonight, which I feel has been overlooked a bit, and there was a lot to pick at in that interview. There really, really was a lot. But one of the things he said that kind of struck me is, look, again, I'm not going to say it was something the captain shouldn't say or anything like that. What he said in that interview was purely a reflection of what the fans are feeling, but being as coy as he possibly could be as a footballer, because he can't come out and say, this player wasn't good enough. He can't name names. He can't give away too much. He can't criticize individual people, essentially. He can't criticize the club as much as perhaps he does want to. But he said, our job now is to go back into the Premier League and try and get back into this competition for next season. Our captain has already written off our chances of getting back into the top 4. 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, we were 2 points, I think maybe even 3 points off the top 4. And now our own captain is saying, we need to try and get back into the Europa League for next season. And again, the worst part about this is the truth and the honesty in those comments from Hugo Lloris, because we're not getting into that Champions League. We're not, and it's as simple as that. We're probably not going to get into, or probably not going to win that cup against Manchester City. If we play anything like that tonight, or in any of our games in recent weeks, excluding that run of 5 games where we did fairly well, we're not going to get anywhere near Man City. They could beat us 6-7-8-0 in that cup final. We're not going to win a trophy this season. Let's just accept that. Now, look, I will say over 90 minutes, anything can happen. But as an honest opinion, that's what this channel is. It's always honest opinions. Yes, I would like to, obviously I support Spurs, but I'd like to back us in games when I think it's realistic. We played Man City in the league a few weeks ago. I predicted a defeat. We played Chelsea in the league. I predicted a defeat. It's honestly, I don't think we're going to win that Carabao Cup. Now, look, there's a month and a week left before that game is actually played. So there is chance for that to turn around. But realistically, if we're looking at this, it's always difficult to look in an unbiased way at your own football club. But I can't see us winning that cup final. And I doubt there are many. Ethelson here says it. Sorry, it's the wrong comment. I didn't mean to bring that one up. I do apologise. Ethelson says we can forget about the Carabao Cup. We can. I honestly do think we can. Sue Smith says, hi, Matt, and everyone just popped by to say hi. Doubt I'll hang around. Had enough for one night. Our club is like a bad soap opera. Sue, no worries at all. Thank you so much for popping in. Always love seeing you in the live chat. A super chat here coming in from Vam Chitty says, I'm not Jose Mourinho in or out, but these players don't need any motivation from anyone in derby match and today's match. It's disgraceful. Vam, thank you very, very much for that super chat. It is massively, massively appreciated. Anyone else, if you do want to make sure your comments are read out and your questions are answered, and also you get to support the channel in an extra way as well, please do get your super chats in, and I can promise I'll get to all of those. And that's the point I brought up on my match review for the game on Sunday against Arsenal. You can talk about motivation all you want, and you can talk about Jose Mourinho needing to motivate these players, but these are players who, for the most part, haven't really won much in their career. Look, Gareth Bale, yes, he's won almost everything there is to win, but he's coming towards the end of his career. That motivation probably should be there naturally for him to go on and win one more trophy before he retires. Looking, first of all, at that derby match, you should never, no manager should ever have to motivate any Spurs player going into a game against Arsenal. Each and every one of those players should understand and believe and feel in their hearts what that game means for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. To go to the Emirates Stadium, being in a situation where we can go 10 points clear of them in the table, we can go 6 wins in a row, we can have our best ever run against them. Playing Arsenal should mean everything to every single one of those Spurs players, and it looked like it meant nothing to any of them. Absolutely nothing. You can criticise Jose all you want for needing to motivate players, but in that very fixture, Jose is the one who needs to ground those players. He should have to be the one to ground those players. He's the one who need to relax them and get their heads in the right game, in the right frame for a game like that. He should not have to motivate them. It should be the complete opposite. For tonight, we've gone there with a 2-0 lead. We did the job last week at home. We got the job done. We went to Zagreb beating 1 goal. It's the best chance we have of a competition of winning a trophy this season. Again, I say that because I don't think we're going to beat Man City in the Carabao Cup final. Napoli and Bayer Leverkusen were knocked out in the round of 32. One of AC Milan and Manchester United were going to be knocked out in the round of 16. That trophy was ours to lose. I'm sorry, it was ours to lose. And United fans will disagree. Arsenal fans will disagree. Maybe Ajax fans will disagree as well. That competition was ours to lose, and we have thrown it away like it meant absolutely nothing. 1984 is the last time Spurs won a European trophy, and those players went out there tonight as if it was the Audi Cup, as if it was the International Champions Cup, a pre-season tournament that no one cared about. And Hugo Lloris has had the guile, not the guile, he's said exactly what the fans want him to say. He's come out and he's spoken from his heart, he's spoken from his soul, and he said exactly what these fans have been saying for so long, what the fans have wanted to hear from someone in that team. It is not good enough. What is happening at this football club is not good enough. We can see it on the pitch. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. We don't know what it's like in the dressing room. All we get to see is what happens on that football pitch. I couldn't care less what Eric Lamela says on Instagram. It's all the time for a rematch. Let's get revenge. I don't care what they do in the training ground. I could not care less. What I want to see is when they go out on that football pitch, they give their heart and their soul and they leave absolutely nothing on that pitch, and they win football games and they bring trophies back to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. How many players in that team can you honestly say are capable of doing that? How many? Look, Jose again deserves criticism. I'm never going to say that he doesn't when we lose a game like we did tonight. But what manager can get that squad and make it successful? What manager can get those players and bring them into any level of success, any trophies, anything at all? Pochettino was the best chance we had to do that for ages. And I'm starting to think maybe Pochettino was a better man to bring trophies to this football club than Jose Mourinho. But again, a conversation for another day. It's just not good enough. These players are not good enough. They're not giving enough for this football club. We had for so long, and it's another point Hugo Lloris made, and I don't know if I have the quote to hand here, but he said the way we play is just not enough. It's just not enough. We had a great moment in the past because we could trust the togetherness in the team. Today, I'm not sure about that. Again, our captain, the captain of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, saying he's not sure if he can trust the togetherness of the football players at this club. Take a minute for that to resonate. He cannot trust the togetherness of the players out on that pitch. Those players are not playing for each other. Those players are not playing for the badge. Those players do not care. There's so many players in that team that I have no doubt are just coasting through to the summer so they can get their move. Is Dele Alli one of those players? Maybe he is. I've defended Ali to the last. Throughout this whole time when he thought he was going to PSG, I've defended him to the last. But with the comments Jose Mourinho is making, or Hugo Lloris is making, maybe Dele Alli is part of the core of this problem at the club. Maybe it's Steven Bergwijn, who's been unfairly frozen out. I do think so. But he's been frozen out nonetheless. The decisions of the manager are the most important decisions at this football club. And if a player doesn't agree with that, fine. But prove the manager wrong by going out on the football pitch and playing when you get your chance. Go and score against Zagreb. Wrap that game up for us. Get us through to the next round of this competition. Don't go out there in down tools and pretend you've never played a game of football before. Half of those players look like they've never seen a football before. It is absolutely ridiculous. And Hugo Lloris, again, absolutely incredible interview. And I want to say again, reiterate this comment, whatever the decision of the manager, you have to follow the way of the team. If you follow the team only when you're in the starting 11, that causes big problems for the team. Today is the consequence of that. Damning comments from Hugo Lloris. And again, ones that I absolutely agree with wholeheartedly. Yassine says, do you think we should sell our best assets to rebuild? I think Alistair said that Spurs has to sell before we can buy. I really don't hope that is the case. And that's the next problem. That is the next problem at this football club. Beyond what's on the pitch, beyond what you can say about the manager, what you can say about these players. And again, as Hugo Lloris said, the performance tonight is a reflection of the club. We are lacking the basics and lacking the fundamentals. What is this board doing? What is Daniel Levy, what is Enoch, Joe Lewis, what are they doing for the betterment of this football club? Yes, we've one of the best stadiums in the world. We've state-of-the-art training facilities. We don't care. I would rather be playing in front of 10 people every Saturday if we win the Premier League. And that is the honest truth. And I think the majority of Spurs fans in here will agree with that. I couldn't care less where we are playing, where the players are training, as long as they're going out and fighting for the badge and winning trophies for the football club. And none of them are doing that. None of them are doing that. And you can question every single player. I'm not talking about some of the players. I'm saying question every single player. Where was Harry Kane tonight? Why wasn't he the one grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck? Yes, he's injured. Yes, he's tired. But if he's I'm not questioning the quality of him, but his attitude and all that, he has in the past gone missing in big games. Where was he on Sunday? What was he doing to turn that game around against Arsenal? Where was he tonight? It is this entire squad is not good enough. And that is the board's problem to sort out. And yes, Alistair Gold is saying Spurs have to sell before we can buy. That is absolutely disgraceful. It is absolutely disgraceful. The amount of money that has been pumped into that club. Have they honestly made a decision to build £1 billion stadium, but look, we'll forget about the squad? Is that what we're dealing with? Is that what this board thinks is acceptable? Do they think we want to be playing in this incredible, immaculate, state-of-the-art, world's best stadium if it means we're going to be finishing 8th and dropping out of the round of 16 in the Europa League to the team top of the Croatian league? Find me one Spurs fan who wants that. Find me one Spurs fan who was happy with that. That's not the most important thing. And look, John H is there in debt. Yes, they are in debt. And it's of course, a lot of that is affected by the global pandemic. But we were in a situation when we moved into that stadium that the squad wasn't good enough then. Look, 2016-17 was the best season I've ever seen from Tottenham Hotspur Football Club and was our best season in so long. But that squad was 11 players. That team was 11 players. There was no more than that. There wasn't. You could look back at that squad and every single week you knew Lloris, Walker, Oliveira, Vertonghen, Rose, Wanyama, Dembele, Son, Ali, Eriksen, Kane. You knew that was going to be your 11 because there was no one there that was good enough to compete for that, to get into that squad, because those 11 players were unbelievable and the rest of the squad was just there to pick their paycheck up at the end of the week. That was the moment when we needed to invest in the squad. Daniel Levy saw that, Enoch saw that, Joe Lewis, whoever you want to blame, saw that as an opportunity to make more money. They invested in a stadium and training facility and they left that squad to rot away and to just slowly, it stagnated and it slowly became worse and worse. That's not good enough. They had such a good opportunity to make this club a success that we went a whole summer without buying a player. How does that happen? How does that happen to a football club that is on the brink of the best thing it's ever been. A manager who has brought us from a Europa League team with Eunice Kabul and Kyle Naughton to Champions League finalists. Why wasn't he given the money? How have Enoch gone on this long without realising they need to invest money in this squad? And it's too late now. Honestly, you ask me, I think it's too late. I think it's too late for Enoch to make this football club a success. Because when are we going to get another chance where there's a manager who has been so successful and has been in a situation where you can say there's a chance for long-term, a dynasty with this football club? It's not going to be Jose Mourinho. Tottenham are in a massive, risky moment at this point where we could become Chelsea. We could become Arsenal. We could become Manchester United, where managers have 1-2 seasons and then they're gone. But the difference is we're not going to be winning those trophies because at least those clubs have a basis, have a foundation, and have a mentality and a history of winning trophies, even if it is an FA Cup every other year. If that's it, I'd take that right now. And again, every Spurs fan would. But we are in a position where we're stumbling into mediocrity, and we're going to be that team who sacks their manager every single year. We could end up being Everton. Who wants to be Everton? They're better than us right now, let's be honest. But who wants to be that club that, oh yeah, we'll get this manager for a year and a half, we might get to a quarter final of the FA Cup, we'll try to get into the top four, we'll finish 6th, we'll be happy with the Europa League. We don't want that. We had a chance to become the team that we've always wanted to be. We've had the chance to become those teams that we've been envious of and jealous of for so long. And this board has failed to invest. 18 months we went without buying a player. 18 months, and they think it's acceptable to bring in this manager, this Jose Mourinho. Oh, he's the best in the world. He's won this, he's won that, he's won the other thing. And they feel as though that's enough for them to not be held responsible for what they're doing. They are ruining this football club. And I might regret this in the morning. Honestly, might. I'm absolutely furious and I'm sickened and I'm heartbroken at what has happened tonight, going to Zagreb and losing 3-0. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be fully honest on this channel. This channel is raw. It gets emotional at times, and I know that happened on the watch along a while ago. But that's what this channel is. I don't want to be this person who hides behind, who doesn't want to make those the kind of controversial comments, who doesn't say what some fans don't want to hear. I'm saying exactly what I'm feeling, and this board are holding this football club back, and there's no doubt about that. There's honestly no doubt about that. And I listen to fans who are arguing, it's like it's not the board, it's 100% Jose's fault, it's 100% the board's fault, it's 100% the players' fault. That is utter crap. That is complete and utter crap. The problems at this club, the situation that we're in right now, cannot be put on any one person. It simply cannot be done. Each and every person in this club is responsible in different ways and in different amounts, yes, but it's just simply not possible that this is down to the fault of one person. But at the end of it, the core of this problem, where this all began and where this will eventually end, be it in success or in failure, is this board, because they're the people in charge of this football club. They ultimately decide who was in the dugout managing this team. They decide with their wallets who is going to be on that football pitch and dealing with the problems that are arising at this football club. And they're not equipped to do that. They're honestly not. And people say, oh, they built this stadium, they're looking for these naming rights, they built a training ground, all this, all that, to sell the club and to make a profit, and then someone else can come in. If someone is coming into this club purely in a way that they think they can make money off it, if we have a multi-million-dollar naming rights in the stadium, we have a state-of-the-art academy with these players who can be sold for hundreds of millions, we're only going downhill from there. I honestly am failing to find a way that this club can progress from here. This club is going backwards, and it's going backwards fast. If anyone, and I mean anyone, has any sort of idea as how this club can progress from here, any positivity they can shed in the situation, please put it in the comments, because I'm telling you, each and every one of us in here does need that right now. We absolutely do need that. What we need to do now as fans is hope for the best for the rest of the season. And I say this again because, you know, I'm talking about where there's Josie in, there's Josie out, there's Levy in, Levy out, all this stuff. At the end of the day, what we want, what the players want, what the board wants, what the fans want, what the manager wants, every single one of us want this club to go out and win trophies. That is the one thing that brings together all of this fan base, all of the club, everybody in the club, everybody outside the club, every single one of us. All we want is for Tottenham Hotspur to be successful. The divide in the fan base right now is completely understandable. It is completely understandable. There are people who, like I said, blame different people for different things. People who, you know, have their different reasons for wanting different things. That's not going to help anybody. Look at where that got Arsenal when they all turned against Wenger, turned against the board, turned to this, that. That doesn't help anybody. What this fan base needs to do, and yes, it's going to be very, very difficult, but it's to come together and try and support this club in the best way possible. Now, look, when fans get back into the ground, I have no doubt whatsoever Jose Mourinho's time with the club is up. No doubt in my mind whatsoever. Now, whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. But what we need to do is just come together and support this football club and hope for the best in this football club. We're all going to be sitting down, whatever part of the world you're in, whether it's in a pub with people or whether you're still in lockdown, you're watching at home on your own, whether you're watching on a watch along with us here in this channel. All we will want is for us to lift that trophy. That's all Jose Mourinho will want. That's what the players will want, hopefully. And that's what Daniel Levy will want. So let's look at that. Let's come together as a fan base. Let's try and get ourselves through this, because it's a very, very difficult period. It's a very difficult situation where there is going to be a divide. There's going to be upset. There's going to be this, that, and the other thing. But what we need to do is come together and try and get through the situation together, because it's a very difficult thing. Rob Coyne says, I'm starting to think you're a couch supporter. You probably never played the game. I mean, if you're saying I never played at a professional level, I didn't. I never did. I'm 20 years of age. I never had the chance to play that. Jack Legross says, Levy once said spending money on players does not correlate with success. No, Daniel, spending money on quality players will guarantee success, quality, not quantity. Look, get your comments in, get your thoughts in, get your feelings in, all that, and I'll try to get through these as much as possible. Yassine says, we can't rely on the youth to carry this club. They can't help, of course, but we need investment. Edelson says, what's that saying? Don't blame the messenger. Well, I would equate that with Jose. Jose is the messenger who isn't allowed to say anything except deliver the message. Look, let's dive into Jose's comments from tonight. Let's take a look at what he had to say. He was asked, can you tell us what you thought, as it was a pretty shocking result and I'm pretty sure you're disappointed. So he was interviewed by BT Sport, and he was kind of just reflected people back to that interview he did with BT Sport. And this is what Jose said. If I forget the last 10 minutes of extra time where we did something to get different result and go through, in the 90 minutes and in the first half of extra time was one team that decided to leave everything on the pitch. They left everything there, sweat, energy, blood, and at the end of the game even left tears of happiness, and I have to praise them. My team, I repeat, my team, I am there. That didn't look like they were playing an important match. If for any one of them it is not an important match, for me it is. For the respect I have for my own career and for my own job, every match is an important match. I believe for every Tottenham fan at home, every match matters and another attitude is needed. To say I'm sad is not enough. What I feel goes much further than sadness. I just left the Dynamo dressing room where I went to praise their guys and feel sorry that one team that is not my team won the game based on attitude and compromise, so I feel more than sad. That's it. Football is not just about players who think they have more talent than others. I believe the players only realised the game was in risk when they scored the second and it went to extra time. Hugo Lloris said something very similar. Hugo Lloris said, by the time we realised the game was in danger, it was too late. These players went there with an attitude, and it's shocking to say this, they went there with an attitude of, we are better than them, we're going to beat them, we don't have to try. And I think that's reflected in the early parts of the game. Like I said, that chance Dele Alli missed when the ball was fed into by Harry Kane and he tried to whip it first time and completely miskicked the ball. If that was on Sunday, Dele Alli takes a touch and he buries that in the bottom corner. There was an element of complacency and an attitude and a feeling of, we are better than them, we're going to beat them anyway. And that is utterly disgraceful. In a round of 16 in a Europa League game, in a season that is crumbling before our very eyes, they think, yeah, we have this done anyway. The fact that the manager and the captain are coming out on the same day and questioning the mentality and the attitude and the desire of these football players it's the biggest concern. It's a bigger concern than losing the game. It's a bigger concern than losing the derby, because as I always say on this channel, I always say it, losing is one thing, but losing when you deserve to lose and when you seem to have been resigned to the fact that you were going to lose is the most concerning thing you can ever see in a football pitch. We played against Arsenal on Sunday and we lost the game, which for a Spurs fan is one of the worst moments of the season. It's a heartbreaking moment. The bragging rights are gone. You've lost to your arch rivals. They close up to us on the table. That's one thing. Losing that game is one thing. The fact that we lost that game in a way where we didn't fight for the ball, when our own captain said we played with fear, that is one of the biggest concerns I have over that game. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't have a problem with losing a derby, because losing a derby is losing a derby, no matter what. But if those players had gone out and they fought for every ball, they'd left their blood, sweat and tears on the pitch, as Jose described Dinamo Zagreb's performance tonight, then in a way you can say, okay, fair enough, we were bested. You know, maybe the luck, the rub of the green went to Arsenal's way and this and that, but that's not the case. Our team went out there and deserved to lose. We were lucky it was only by a goal. We honestly were. There was nothing good enough on that pitch on Sunday. And tonight, somehow, it got even worse. And I don't know how many times I've said this season, how many times Spurs fans have said this season, that is the worst I've ever seen Spurs play. Ever. I've never seen a worse performance from Spurs than what I saw tonight. That game against Arsenal, the game against Brighton earlier in the season, and there's another game in there which I'm probably have gotten out of my mind on purpose, but I just can't think of right now. Vam says, let's wait till the end of the season. If we're not in Champions League, then I'm Jose Mourinho out. But this is not the time to sack. If we sack, then it's downhill. Be positive. Vam, again, thank you so much for the super chat. Massively appreciate that. It helps keep this channel going. And look, like I said, the question now is going to come down to Jose Mourinho out. And I have backed Jose Mourinho, and I said, I feel as though he's the right man to bring this club forward. Again, I'm questioning that tonight, as I think a lot of fans who would categorize themselves as Jose in are beginning to question. And I've seen a lot of people kind of turn on Twitter. And it's not a case of one moment they're turning, but it's been slowly creeping towards. And there's been almost a pendulum going back and forth and just waiting for it to settle which side you're going to be at. And those are probably the fans whose opinions I would listen to the most, rather than those who have the agenda of Jose and ENIC out, or the agenda of Jose out and maybe ENIC out as well. There are people who are stuck in their ways that no matter what, this is what I'm looking at. And look, like I said, I have defended Jose, but I've always been critical of him when I feel it is deserved. And there was a comment in there, a while ago that said, will I ever put the blame on the manager? And I have put the blame on the manager when it was deserved. When I feel he got things wrong, I said when we parked that bus against Fulham at Craven Cottage leading 1-0, if this goes away, it's Jose's fault. If we throw away this lead, it is Jose Mourinho's fault. And there have been things throughout the season that have been his fault. But what you can't account for, and what you can't blame a manager for, is when the players don't care. All he can do is use the squad that is at his disposal. And people criticize him and say, you can't say the defense isn't good enough, so Jose doesn't deserve blame because he picked Sanchez, he picked Doherty. Who else is he to pick? He wanted a centre-back last summer. Steve Hitchen was out in Milan trying to secure a deal for Milan Skriniar, and we didn't get him. You can't blame Jose Mourinho for that. Now, again, I do think he deserves criticism, he deserves blame, and I'm not entirely sure he's the man who's going to bring success to this football club anymore. But you have to pick what is his fault. You can't just say everything is his fault, because that is not the case. Excuse me. There's a reason this manager is one of the most successful in the world. There's a reason this manager has won more trophies in his career than Tottenham have in their entire history. He knows what it takes to win. Now, yes, the key factor and the common denominator in the last 4 or 5 clubs where he has been successful is investment in the transfer window and him being allowed to build a team that he wanted to build. That is the common denominator. I'm not saying he's never done it without money before. Look at what he did at Porto. But that for me is similar to Leicester winning the Premier League, to, if anyone follows Norwegian football, Bodo Glimt winning the Eliteserien this season. It's a feat that will rarely be matched. It is a miracle that you won't often see repeated. But I do honestly believe that when he came into this football club, he was promised money, and he was promised the scouting team that he wanted, and he was promised the players that he wanted to bring into the club. Certain events have transpired since then, which are completely out of the control of the football club, that have made that near impossible. I always bring it back to Real Madrid not signing a player in a summer window for the first time in 60 years. It's extraordinary circumstances. So I do think Jose was promised that. But like I've said it even before now, if the board and Daniel Levy can look at this particular situation and say, well, we're not going to be able to give the money to Jose Mourinho, then he shouldn't be at this football club. And I'm sorry, it hurts me to say it because I've backed him to the last, and I honestly did feel as though he could bring success to this club. But if we can safely say the money isn't going to be there for him, then he shouldn't be here, because he's not going to be that man who's going to get the best out of Sanchez, who's going to get the best out of Doherty, out of Harry Winks, out of Eric Lamela, out of Lucas Moura, this, that, the other player. He's not going to be the one to turn their careers around. Maxi HFC here with the €5 super chat. Thank you very much, Mac. Massively appreciate it, and I do genuinely mean that. Says Mourinho isn't the problem. Club has needed a rebuild since 17-18. No matter who's manager, that rebuild is still necessary. This is all on the board. And I'm inclined to agree with you on that one. Mauricio Pochettino warned us about this painful rebuild. Then look, there was an element of a sort of falling out there with Daniel Levy, which perhaps we're hearing at the moment. It wasn't as bad as we first feared. Joao Sacramento said they're still in touch fairly often. They're still actually very good friends. But we got to that point, that 5-year mark, under Mauricio Pochettino, and he said, it was after the Champions League final, he said that closes the chapter. So that first 5-year period with Pochettino at Spurs, put to the side. we're starting again. Now, what I saw from that was Poch came into a Europa League squad. Like I said, the likes of Naughton, Kabul, Kirikej, Fazio, this ridiculously bad squad. And he built that to Champions League finalists. He put that behind him. He didn't care about that first 5 years anymore. That was nothing to him. He didn't care. What he wanted then was the next 5 years. So if he can get a Europa League team to Champions League finalists, he wanted to see where he could get Champions League finalists and where he could bring them. He said it was going to be a painful rebuild. I don't think Daniel Levy wanted that. Daniel Levy didn't want that. He wanted instant success. He wanted straight away to win the trophies. He did not care about the long term. And part of the fan base agreed with him. And I'll be honest, I slowly bought into that idea. I didn't want us to be the team who did that, but I slowly realized that maybe if we do win a few trophies, maybe it'll be worth the 3-4 years of pain. But that's not happening. That's not happening. We're not going to win a trophy this season. We're not. Let's face that. It's that rebuild that's been needed since 2017, 4 years later, is still needed. And Daniel Levy is reluctant to do that. He's trying to do the cheap way and the easy way for every single thing. And I was on the Irish Hotspurs channel last night. And we were, Stelios from the Tottenham Away podcast, definitely everyone go check it out if you haven't already. And he was asking how Spurs will get that global fan base that so many teams have. The Liverpool's, United's, Real Madrid's, Barcelona's, Bayern Munich's, blah, blah, blah. How do Spurs get to that stage of that global success or global fan base? And the mainstream path to that is by winning trophies, is being a successful team, win a Premier League, win a Champions League. And then naturally, fans from abroad who don't have a team to support will see, oh, look at Spurs, they won this. I like the way they play. I'm going to support them. And then your fan base slowly starts to grow. Daniel Levy is trying to do that the cheap way. He's looking at, he's tapping into America right now. The NFL deal in the stadium, signing Alex Morgan on loan. If it is going to be a brand deal with an American company for the stadium, he's trying to do it the cheap way, like he does absolutely everything. Everything he's trying to do it the easy way, the cheap way. He didn't want to invest a load of money in the squad. So get Jose Mourinho. He wins everywhere he is. Bring him in. We'll win trophies. He'll do it easily. He needs money. And he's not going to get that off Daniel Levy. Darragh Fanning and Duff, thank you very much for tuning in, says, is there a risk in Spurs losing players this summer? As much as a rebuild is needed throughout the whole club, there are some players there who should have stumbled upon some silverware by now. And that is the biggest fear right now. And that is where I do feel as though this may be going, because I, to be honest, for about a month now, have been resigned to the fact that I do think Heung-min Son will move on in the summer. 6 months ago, we were told he's putting pen to paper on a contract that still hasn't been signed. And let's not kid ourselves. There'll be a lot of suitors for Heung-min Son if it does come down to that. Harry Kane has always said he will stay at the club as long as he sees they're moving forward. This club is in free fall. This club is absolutely in free fall. There's no way Harry Kane can confidently say he's going to stay at this club long term. I feel as though there is an air of loyalty and an element of, you know, him wanting to be that club hero so he can turn this around and be the man to lead us to a trophy or something like that. But there's going to be that fear that maybe he's had enough of this as well. And he's 28 years of age. He can't wait around now. If he wants to win trophies in his career, it's going to have to be very soon. And maybe that time is coming up for him. I think Hugo Lloris is off to PSG. But aside from that, what players do we really want to keep? Yes, of course, there's a Højbjerg. There's Oliver Ireland is, look, he's coming to the end of his career anyway. But if we're looking, let's go back to front of that team. I'm going to name as many players as I can. I'm going to stop what I feel is one worth keeping. Aurier, Doherty, Sanchez, Dyer, Oliver Ireland, Davis, Reguilon, a fantastic player. Real Madrid could buy him back in the summer, and we have nothing to do. We can't say no to them. He go into the midfield. Højbjerg, absolute enforcer. He does have the kind of feeling of a player like a Moussa Dembele, who will just, he'll just be in there. He'll do his job, and he'll go home at night and he'll, do whatever they do. And I feel like he'll say, and Ndombele, I love Ndombele. I love the bones of the man. I think he's an incredible footballer. But he is that type of player that I feel like he won't have that loyalty to the football club, where if PSG come in the summer, I don't think he will hesitate in accepting that deal. If a Bayern Munich or Barcelona or Real Madrid do. And I think it is only a matter of time before that happens. I think Ndombele will leave Spurs the next year or two. Going on to Lo Celso, he's injury prone. He's running the risk of becoming Eric Lamela. I love him. I think he's an extremely talented footballer, but is he going to be that one to win us trophies? He's just back from injury tonight. He didn't do much. Look, we'll get back to this in a sec. There's just a few super chats I want to get through here. Mr. Jims 86 with the £3. Thank you very much for that. Mr. Jims says, we are the laughingstock of English football. And that's what it is. Liverpool had to go to Hungary to win a home match. Let that resonate in your head. Liverpool had to go to Hungary, to Eastern Europe, to win a home game. And we are worse than them. We are more of a laughingstock than them. That baffles me. It honestly doesn't. I was only speaking to a Liverpool fan about this at work today. How, when they are so bad, when their fan base is in absolute chaos? How are we still the laughing stock of English football? Martin says the 550. Martin, thank you very, very much. Really appreciate that. Hey, Matt, I can only imagine how scared you feel right now, but keeping Kane and Son will be hard. Pick up Mrs. Hayes for the kitchen decor. Yeah, well, she did a good job. Yeah, it is scary. It is a very scary moment as a Spurs fan right now. And I feel it is a similar position to what Manchester United were in a few years back when it was, lo and behold, Jose Mourinho at the helm. And they had similar problems where, they had the issues with the board. They had their certain players who were dividing that dressing room, but they did have that manager himself in the changing room. So I feel as a United fan, I'm sure you could offer a lot of insight into, kind of where we go from here and how the feeling can be kind of pushed away and things like that. But it is a terrifying moment as a Spurs fan. I think everyone in here will agree with you. And speaking of the people that are in here, there's just a random impromptu stream I did at 11:30 at night. There's 450 people watching right now. Incredible, insane numbers. So please do drop a like in the stream. Let us know your feelings in the comments. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for maybe more of these midnight therapy sessions. Watch alongs, previews, reviews, the Tottenham Fan Voice podcast and all that. Insane numbers here tonight. I do appreciate everyone who is watching. As Mr. Commentator Keith O'Brien says, losing in Europe could never be my Argyle. Come on, you Pilgrims. Look, you got to get there in the first place, Keith. And 5 defeats in a row. I'm not sure that's happening anytime soon, but Keith, thanks for tuning in. Do appreciate it. Bradley says Spurs is run like a business, not like a football club. And yeah, Spurs is run like a business. It's every football club has to be run like a business to some degree, but what's the point in running it like a business if you're not going to win trophies at the end of it? The best and the biggest income a football club could make is the prize money from getting in that Euro in Champions League, getting out of the group stage, winning the tournament, winning the Premier League, and the global fan base, as we were talking about a second ago, that could build, that could create for the football club. That is the best way to earn money. But that takes investment, that takes time, and that takes risk, a risk that Daniel Levy is not willing to take. And that is the bottom line of all this. Daniel Levy does not want to win, does not want to be successful at this club the difficult way. He's trying to find roundabout, easy ways for all this to happen. And look, if it happens, it's going to be genius. It's going to be one of the best things ever to happen in football, to become a consistently successful team without investing the money the likes of Man City, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Barcelona, Real Madrid, those clubs are investing. If we can do that, it's going to be an incredible accomplishment. But there's a reason that will be so impressive, and it's because it's almost impossible. In the current football climate, the market, the way football is going now, you're not going to win anything without money. And look, there's every now and then you're going to get a Leicester. Every now and then you're going to get a Montpellier who won the French league a few years back. You're going to get an Atletico Madrid winning La Liga. And let's just take a second to realize that Atletico Madrid winning La Liga is an incredible shock. But a year and a half ago, they spent £120 million on a 19-year-old. That's not big investment in football anymore, because they haven't backed that up with getting the players to build that team around them. You need money to win stuff. And Daniel Levy, Joe Lewis, Enoch, whoever you want to say is holding the purse strings, they have the money to do that, but are unwilling to take risk that may lead to success at this football club. And that is the biggest concern that anybody could have right now. Marcelo tuning in saying, how we doing, Maddie? Look, this therapy session is helping. I'll be honest with you, Marcelo. And look, can we get some love in the chat for Marcelo for running the watch long a while ago? Thank you very much for that, Marcelo. I appreciate it, as always. The super chat there from Joseph Mlinsky, £10. Joseph, thank you very much for that. Massively appreciated. It says, played football all my life. Managers' tactics mean little after you cross onto the pitch. It's up to you to fight, show desire, and dictate the play. The players had none of that today. Embarrassing. I couldn't agree with you more, Joseph. The manager can set out what he wants to happen. I'm going to bring this back to the game on Sunday against Arsenal, because I feel as though in his current situation, the current kind of mentality around the Spurs fan base all comes back to these two games together, back to back. And Hugo Lloris was asked the question today by BT Sport, which hurts more, the defeat against Arsenal or the defeat today against Dinamo Zagreb? And he said the accumulation of it is the pain that we are feeling right now. And on that point, the tactics mean little after you cross onto the pitch. There's no doubt in my mind, Jose Mourinho set up his team on Sunday to attack, to go out and try and get an early goal, to bring the game to Arsenal, to play a derby like a derby should be played. He set the team up like that. I spoke through it before, but I can go through the reasons. We didn't play a low block. We never had a defensive line. We never sat in a 4-4-2 with Ndombele pressing with Kane, and we Bale and Ndombele playing in front of Matt Doherty. If you want to play a defensive game, it's that 4-4-2 press with Kane and Ndombele up there. You play either Bergwijn or Sissoko in front of Matt Doherty to offer the cover when Saka and Tierney come up there. I could give 100 more reasons why I don't think Jose parked the bus on Sunday. But it doesn't matter. It does not matter the slightest bit how Jose wants those players to play if, as Hugo Lloris said, they played with fear. Those players need to want to win. They need to want to implement the attacking, the intense tactics of the manager for anything to work. And they don't want to do that. They don't care. That is the be-all and end-all. They don't care. Hugo Lloris said we played with fear in a North London derby against Arsenal, who we have finished above in the last 4 or 5 seasons, who we had the chance to go 10 points ahead of, who are ultimately worse than us in this terrible situation that this club finds ourselves in. We're still somehow ahead of them in the table. A team, man, I can't find a single combined 11 that has more than 2 Arsenal players in there. And we played with fear. We allowed them to walk all over us. We allowed Tierney and Saka to dominate that left-hand side. We allowed Martin Odegaard to find the space in the middle of the pitch. We allowed Emile Smith-Rowe to look as though he was, as the Arsenal fans call him, the Croydon Zidane or whatever it is. We made Arsenal look better than they were. You cannot put that down to Jose Mourinho when there's a derby game. Those Arsenal players played that game as though it were a derby, as though it meant something. Not one of those Spurs players did. And again, I mean every single Spurs player. I mean Harry Kane. I mean Heung-min Son till he went off injured. I mean Lloris. I mean Alderweireld. I mean every single one of them. There are times like this when you can pick and choose the players that you want to blame. But in this particular instance, every single one of them is to blame as much as the next one is. In the big games, this team goes missing. We beat Arsenal in December to go top of the Premier League table. Since then, we've played 8 games against top half teams and we've lost all 8 of them. That's not a coincidence. That is not a coincidence. That is a pattern. And that is something that needs to be addressed. And look, again, I fully agree with Joseph. You need to show desire. You need to dictate the play. The players have not done that recently. They absolutely haven't. They really haven't. Connor says, unreal content, Matt, even if you're a Spurs fan. Connor, really appreciate that. Thanks again for tuning in. As always, got another super chat there to get to. If I can find it, the comments are absolutely flying tonight. Sorry, it's just one of the old ones there. Let's get a few more comments in here. Wyra says, stick with Jose, back him. Don't sell key players, let him build his team. Or new manager and ideas rebuild, believing youth will win trophies in 3 to 5 years. And that's the crossroad that Spurs find themselves at. It ultimately is. And, Daniel Levy is going to have to make a decision. He's going to have to go one way or the other. And, which way he's going to choose remains to be seen. And like I said, I feel as though Daniel Levy is going to choose the easy way. And for him, the easy way may be keeping Jose Mourinho in charge, putting a bit of money into the club. And that's my biggest fear. My biggest fear is not Daniel Levy not investing in the squad. It's him trying to find this ridiculous middle ground that he thinks exists between getting the players Jose wants and not getting any players at all. He wants this tiny little middle ground where Jose might want, he might want a Milan Skriniar, but instead we go and get maybe a Ben Godfrey. Or he might want a Paulo Dybala, but look, maybe let's go and get the centre attacking mid from Bayer Leverkusen or whatever. In the past, it has worked to some degree that we might want this absolutely outstanding player, but we get a kind of middle ground player who could become that player. In the past, it has worked. In the past, we had managers who could deal with that sort of thing, and he could grow those players into what they need to be. But Jose Mourinho doesn't. First of all, he's not going to be at the football club long enough. But second of all, he needs exactly what he wants if he wants to be successful at any football club ever. That is Jose Mourinho in a nutshell. You give him what he wants or he doesn't succeed. We are the first football club that has been stupid enough and dumb enough to bring in Jose Mourinho and not give him what he wants or what he needs. Daniel Levy is the first man who's enough of an idiot to think that Jose Mourinho can come in. And look, maybe Jose said that. Maybe Jose came in and said, oh, like you said, I'm a reinvented man. I've this and I've that and I've the other thing. Maybe Jose said he doesn't need the best players in the world to win. But you look back and the history tells you that's not true. Like I said, he won that Champions League with Porto, an incredible feat of managerial brilliance for him to do that. But that, like I said, is like the Leicester winning the title. That happens once in a lifetime. It's not going to be repeated. Every other team he's been at, Inter Milan, Chelsea, Real Madrid, Chelsea again, even Manchester United, he needed money. Aside from that, he's not going to do that. He's not going to be successful. Martin says, I threw shade earlier about Matt Jose's team lacks hope. I experienced it for 3 years. His ideology doesn't work anymore. You get sucked in to look at his CV. That's the past. Look to the future. And look, I do agree with you on that as well. I think, look, I've probably been guilty of it as well. And I think maybe I continue to be guilty of it. Looking at the fact that he has won in the past and maybe hoping that he could do that at Spurs as well. There's always going to be that hope. And I think as Spurs fans, without hope, what are you? And that's the sad truth of it. But you can look at that as history. You can look at it as what has been instead of what will be. But precedence means something in football. Precedence means something. You look at different things that have happened. Like the money that's being invested in a lot of clubs. When you have a lot of money behind you, you're probably going to be successful. I know it's a very different situation to certain other things, but precedence does mean something in football. And I do think that it's possible to kind of overcommit into buying that into. I'm struggling to put it into words. Overbuy into it, if that makes sense. Probably the best way I can put it. It's 12:20. I'm really tired. But you do also then have to kind of balance yourself and look at the other side. And there's a chance to not kind of trust that enough or not buy into it enough. We do have to take that into account when we are looking at what Jose may achieve at Spurs, what Jose may be able to do at this football club, or in fact any football club he goes on to manage after Spurs. You have to find that balance between what he's done in the past, what he's doing now, and what he can do in the future. And slowly but surely, the negatives from the fact that now winning in the future aren't looking too good are starting to completely overshadow the past. And that is the sad truth of the matter right now. And excuse me again, I probably have looked into his CV a bit too much, and I know a lot of Spurs fans are guilty of that, but I also feel there's fans who are ignoring that too much. Brad says, I feel really bad saying this, but how can I get enthusiastic about the rest of the season? When Hugo Lloris is coming out and saying our job now is to go back to the Premier League and try and get into the Europa League again next season, I'd struggle to get enthusiastic as well. I struggle to think we're going to get anything out of that Carabao Cup final. I struggle to think there's going to be any sort of joy and elation like we felt in the last couple of weeks in the remainder of the season. We're looking now for players to step up and to take this season by the scruff of the neck and make it somewhat worthwhile for Spurs fans. Because I said this when we were in the Europa League. I've been saying it for weeks. This season is not salvageable. Nothing can happen to make this season successful. What we need to do is try and make this season worthwhile. And for me, that was a Europa League trophy. That's not a success for me. Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, success is not winning the second best trophy in European football. 2 years ago, we were in the final of the best one. And look, you can say all you want about the refereeing decision that gave that penalty for Liverpool in the first 2 minutes, but at the end of the day, those players bottled it. And I hate using that word. I hate that word. It was Spursy. We bottled it. Dr. Tottenham Matino, all that crap that Spurs fans hate to hear. It's the truth. It is the truth, and it pains me to say that. I wish it weren't true, but it's hard to look beyond that. There's certain things that you can say are coincidence, but when they happen more and more and more, it becomes a pattern. It becomes something you need to take note of. And this club is just, it's too Spursy. We bottle it too much. Despite that, the fact that we have been in that position where we've been in a couple of title races, yes, we were never in charge of those title races. Those people saying we bottled the title in 2015-16 are just idiots. What we need to do is look at where this club can be rather than where we are right now. We're in the Europa League before tonight in the Europa League round of 16, 2-0 up. Yes, we wanted to win the Europa League, but that, in the grand scheme of things, is not a success for Spurs. When you look at the quality of player that's at this football club, their mentality and their attitude is another thing. Their quality. I think Spurs, in terms of quality, have one of the best squads in this league. Now, I'm not going to be as stupid as I was earlier in the season, said it's the best in the league. But you're looking at players like Giovanni Lo Celso. Quality-wise is incredible. And Ndombele is the same. Lamela, I think, has the potential. Bale, of course, has the potential as well. I think Sanchez also has, again, the potential. But that's what we're talking about. We're talking about potential and quality and stuff like that. We need to be at a higher level than we are right now. A Europa League for me is not a success this season. Of course, that's gone out the window. But back to the original point, this season needs to become worthwhile. And in terms of getting enthusiastic for the rest of the season, my entire hopes and any sort of salvageability, if that's a word for the season, lies in that Carabao Cup final. It lies in a game against one of the best sides English football has ever seen. A team who won 21 games winning in a row. A team who up until last weekend against Man United hadn't lost since we beat them in October. Pep Guardiola, a team that Sergio Aguero struggles to get into. Riyad Mahrez can't get off the bench. That's the team we have to beat to make this season any bit worthwhile. If there's one Spurs fan out there who thinks that that's possible, I think you have another thing coming. But look, this was supposed to be a quick stream just to get a bit off my chest. But look, it's been going on 55 minutes, and again, there's nearly 500 people watching live right now. And God, would you look at that? 5,000 people have joined just this midnight therapy session that I tried to give myself. But look, make sure to smash that subscribe button. Hopefully there'll be more positive, more enthusiastic things coming up soon. We've got the Tottenham Fan Voice podcast tomorrow with Neil for the Love of Paul McGrath podcast, giving us a good insight into Aston Villa and all that. We've got The watch along coming up on Sunday for the Villa game as well, and a whole lot more content next week. So please do smash that subscribe button, smash that like button as well, and we'll see what the numbers are. We're at 123 likes, so please smash that like button. Let's see if we can get up to 150 likes before we do end the stream. Thank you to everyone who has joined. And look, I see a lot of people kind of giving out about some of the comments I made. Look, a lot of this is emotional. Like I said, I feel like I might regret a lot of what I said tomorrow. It's emotion, but that's what I want this channel to be about. I want it to be the real, raw truth that Spurs fans are feeling. Like Hugo Lloris's interview was tonight. I think we do need to, tomorrow, maybe Saturday, will be the time to take a step back and reevaluate this decision with a bit more of a balanced and a bit more kind of logical way. But now is the emotion, it's the raw pain, it's the disappointment, it's the heartbreak that Spurs have put us through tonight. But look, again, that's what I want this channel to be. I don't want to be the channel hiding behind, the whatever I want it to be. I don't want to be controversial, but I want to make those bold statements that some people are maybe just a bit too afraid to make. But please do smash that subscribe button, smash that like button. Sue says I wasn't going to stay, but this is therapeutic. Thank you, Matt, and everyone. Look, Sue, I know you said you were going to be going a while ago, but thank you so much for sticking around. Again, to 5,000 people joining me having a bit of a moan at midnight is crazy numbers. So thank you to every one of you, and to the people I know from work and stuff like that. I saw a few of you here tonight, not even Spurs fans, but thank you for tuning in. I'm sure you did it for your own comedic value, but look, it helps me out that bit as well. So thank you very much for that. So channel members, everyone for the super chats, everyone for the comments, for the likes, for just the views and stuff like that. Thank you very much to all of you for tuning in. Hopefully, again, more confidence, more positivity in the next couple of weeks. But for now, it's disappointing, it's pain, and it's just the same old Spurs.